Hey.
A crazy journey since I put up that first video as Red Pill Black, which was a name that sort of took off by itself. I wasn't really trying to do anything with that. I just said, oh, what should I name my YouTube channel? And I said, oh, I'm going to try to Red Pill Black America. Did not think that my first video would go, I call it baby viral compared to what happens now, but 800,000 views. I think Mike Cernovich shared it, and I thought, wow, this was really responsive. But what was even more interesting was the hate that I got for it. I didn't really say anything in this video. I just sort of made fun of the fact that it seems to be that we've arrived at this time where it's harder to come out as a conservative than it is to come out as gay, trans, maybe you're a guy that likes to dress like girls. It's like you can be anything you want as long as it's confined to leftism in these extremes. But if you decide that you want to be a conservative, you've got to huddle by the candlelight in a basement. And I thought, wow, this is really interesting, and I want to keep going at this. I want to keep making videos. So my third video that I ever did got 80 million views worldwide. It was insane. I was actually sitting in my living room, and my cousin was watching, had TV on in the background, and CNN was on. And it was after the Charlottesville protests. And I looked up on CNN, and these anchors were literally trying to sell me as a black American that the KKK was alive and well. Like the conclusion that they were trying to sell, the bottom line, not that something horrific happened between two idiotic parties, opposite extremes, like when Antifa and the KKK show up to have a little tea party, obviously some explosions are gonna happen. But they were trying to sell me that this is what happens because we told you not to vote Donald Trump into the White House. And it became very clear to me, hey, you guys are trying to sell a narrative of racism as almost like the I told you so. If you don't listen to us, if you don't do what we told you to, and we told you he was a racist, a sexist, and a misogynist, so now we're going to give you the proof. We're going to tell you there are girls being raped, the KKK is back. I hadn't even heard of the KKK in America my entire life. I mean, they're just outdated, they're out of style. Maybe there's some people in the Deep South who call themselves KKK members, but they're not getting any attention. But CNN gave them attention. They showed up with cameras when they were protesting, which, by the way, no matter what you agree with, you have a right to protest a statue. Obviously, we all agree that the KKK is an abhorrent group, but even they have a right to show up and protest the statue's removal. And then you have, Antifa and Black Americans, which they created this narrative to get them all to show up and start this big fight. So I put out this video and I ranted and I just made fun of the fact that CNN was like pretending I lived in 1940s America, and I said, am I the only person that relies on their experiences every day? I go to Starbucks and there's a white girl that gives me my coffee. I go to the gym and there's a black guy that hands me my towel, and there's a Spanish person, and there's like no drama that happens throughout my day. But they're trying, if you watch TV and you don't go outside, you will actually believe that America is a racist country, which is really bizarre. And I started to realize I got to get rid of my cable, and that's exactly what I did. I decided I was going to start creating the content and challenging my ideas within my own mind as opposed to watching and reading somebody else's message. So that video led to a very interesting moment. I actually want to show it to you. Can you pull up TPUSA's YouTube page? I then got invited to speak. It's going to be the Candace Owens Predict Kanye West. I then got invited to speak. Dave Rubin, you guys know him obviously. He's great, calls himself the last classical liberal. I call that conservatism. And he invites me to have this long-form interview with him because he had created so much buzz, 80 million views, dubbed in Spanish, dubbed in French, which I thought was incredibly interesting, dubbed in Portuguese. And I said, wow, I thought I was... yes. So I said, I'll let you know when to play it. So I said, I thought that was really interesting, and I started talking to Dave Rubin and just giving him this long-form interview about how weird it was to see that there was a response around the world. I thought I was talking about America and America's media, but at the end of the day, what we're realizing is happening is global. That there seems to be, like we are departing into a higher consciousness, that people are starting to realize that for so long we've existed under this cloud of the media telling us what's right, what's wrong, how to walk, how to dress, what to wear, and we've completely abandoned original ideas. So Dave Rubin invites me to have this interview. It was an hour and a half, and here's the end of the interview.
I know you admire Kanye West. Do you think that Kanye will be speaking out for the truth anytime soon, or has he been threatened into submission? Before you answer that question, I will tell you, although I can't tell everyone where we are right now, I do see Kanye often, somewhere very near where we are right now.
Gosh,
That's all I can say. So maybe I can work a little something there.
Oh my gosh, I am only a fan. People ask me, who are you a fan of? You know, I'm only a fan of Kanye West. And the interesting thing is, popular Kanye quote is that if you're a fan of Kanye West, you're not really a fan of Kanye West. You're a fan of yourself, and you believe that you can make it. And his whole brand, his whole brand, and most people who don't like Kanye West don't follow his music, so he doesn't make them think he's an asshole and he's an arrogant asshole. And what he actually is preaching is holding on to your own ideas, holding on to you, the version that you are, the version that you were when you came into this world before, you know, school sort of stripped you down and made you think that you couldn't do it. What we're talking about, right? Low expectations for everyone. Black, white, Spanish. That's what you learn in school. You got to go work for somebody. You got to do this in the SATs. You got to be interested in math, science. Maybe you're not good at that. Maybe you're only good at this. So his whole brand is what I love. It's about just believing in yourself, like to the umpteenth degree, you know, to the point of almost delusion, being stepping into your own world and being in your own mind and not allowing people to taint that. I don't remember the question.
Well, I think the question basically was, do you think he can kind of go all the way?
Yeah.
Like in terms of what you're talking about on the political level, like the stuff that you're really getting, do you think he can get there? Because he kind of jumps in, right?
He jumps in, and the problem with Kanye is he gets misunderstood, and he's not the most eloquent speaker. You know, he'll rant, and then he'll say one thing and go over here, and people that don't follow him don't dig deep enough. But I mean, Kanye, what he could do for the black community, and he tried it. You know, he told them, "I supported Donald Trump," and look what happened. It's a mental disorder.
Didn't you check into
that?
He nailed it, right?
He nailed it. Because he has a mental disorder. He purposely checked out. What did he do? He went straight to Trump Tower and did a photo op with Donald Trump to let people essentially know that wasn't a mental disorder. I said what I said and I meant it. You know, and it's because he's always been anti-PC. People look back at that Taylor moment and don't realize what he was saying was true. You know, she didn't deserve the award. There's really people that follow music. It's outrageous that she won that award, but it was about, you know, pleasing a certain fan base, whatever it was. It was totally like, you know, hijacked, and he did it. Again, not the most eloquent guy, right? You know what I mean? That doesn't really think through it, that he acts, and afterwards, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done it that way. But what he was saying was incredibly important. He's always been anti-PC.
Yeah, it's funny, I don't even remember. I know that I remember that moment. I was watching it, but I didn't know a lot about who they think should have won. It was
Beyonce. Did you see
it was for Beyonce, right.
And she won for like a fairy tale princess, like dress up. It was
right. So I'm not. That's like not really my music. So I don't. I didn't really care about that. But I remember watching and thinking what a dick he was. But understanding the way you're framing it.
Yeah, because people don't follow music. So that's why I said it's very hard for people to understand Kanye West or to be fascinated by him or to understand that. I first said, if you understand Kanye West, then you can understand the movement of Donald Trump. Like, it's funny that people can't correlate that. It's very similar. It's just anti-political correctness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Girl. Yeah.
Idea that I understood the verticals, that in order to win back the black community, I understood that there were essentially three verticals that the left was very good at hijacking. The first one was family. So we have Lyndon B. Johnson. He created the Great Society Act, which brought us welfare programs, which incentivized females not to marry the father of their children. This led to the breakdown of the black family. Okay, black fathers not at home because they said, "We'll actually give you more money if you don't marry him. We'll give you more money if you don't let him live in the house." So they said, "Oh, that's fine. I just won't get married, and we'll deal with this whole baby daddy nonsense." So that's a very important vertical, because if you break down a family, if you want to break down anything and own anything, that's the first thing you have to do. That's where people get their original ideas from, is mom and dad. So when you don't have mom and dad put together, the second vertical that you run into is who are you going to go to tell you what you should do? And that's your television. That's culture, right? So I always say that politics is downstream from culture, and that is why the left completely hijacked Hollywood. They understood that we have to own Hollywood. We've broken down the family. We've got to own Hollywood completely, because this is a huge source of how you create a mind, essentially, is what we're talking about. So it's that I understood that with those two verticals alone, that Kanye West was somehow going to break out of this, and he was going to be this glitch in the matrix that caused people to start understanding that reality isn't really what we think it is. It's just sort of what's been painted on top of us. And I was obviously very excited with this idea, and I was invited after this to speak at David Horowitz's foundation. It was called Restoration Weekend, where he gathers conservative thinkers and doers from all over the spectrum, like people that you wouldn't think would be in the same room. You know, that year he had Steve Bannon and Milo and Charlie Kirk, who is a totally different way of conservatism, and there are people that represent different parts of the conservative ecosystem that are all very necessary. We have people that are a little more provocative, which I stay away from, but those people at the time of Donald Trump were very necessary to sort of push the envelope of what it was okay to say when we were essentially being silenced. I meet Charlie Kirk, and Charlie and I meet, and we spoke for 4 minutes, and Charlie offered me a job. And before he offered me a job, he said, Candace, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to lead the Black revolution against the Democratic Party. And he said, you're hired.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Woo! Yeah. Get him, girl.
About another 2 minutes to get me the contract. When Charlie moves, he moves. He's very serious. He says, you sit right there, don't move, whips out his phone, because I'm going to get you a contract. Download this app so you can sign it right in front of me and send it back to me. It's standard, blah, blah, walk you through it. And we signed the contract. We did the entire deal in the span of about 10 minutes. And I just said, wow, he really believes that I can do it. And then we went over and we met with some people at the RNC. And for those of you that don't know, besides all the rumors that are being said about me, it's crazy how much is on the internet about me. I actually am not a Republican. They're actually so crazy trying to brand me that they haven't even figured out that I'm not a Republican. I'm just an independent. And I violently and ideologically attack the Democratic Party because it's that party that has held Black people down.
Yeah.
Okay?
Amen. Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
And my ultimate goal is to see Black people advance, to exit this victim narrative, and to become victors. And I have to attack the people that are holding them in prison, the people that are enslaving them onto this ideological plantation. And that's what I decided to do. So I started talking to Charlie about these verticals, and I said, the first thing that we're going to have to do, and by the way, the third vertical was education. And it's why I linked up with Charlie Kirk, because he was already attacking that. He was aware of what was going on these campuses. He was aware that you can't even sit down and say, I believe in capitalism, like I did at Colorado State. Was I in Boulder?
Yeah.
Where were we? Brandon, where were we?
CSU.
Medusa hair?
Fort Collins. Yeah, Fort Collins, yeah.
Okay,
we were there.
Fort Collins, and you can't even sit in a chair and talk about capitalism without people coming up to you and screaming and telling you you're the second coming of Hitler. Right? That's dangerous, and that's something that Charlie was extremely passionate at the age of 18 years old, in the same way that I was passionate about Black America. He was passionate about the education system, and that was the last vertical that I knew had to be attacked. So I partnered with him, and I tell him, like, in our first, we had a long car ride, and I said to him, we're going to get Kanye West. And Charlie said, is that the one that's married to Beyonce? And I said, no, Charlie. Okay. We're not going to get Kanye West if we don't get on the same page, if we don't start. You have to really understand why. He said, he's never come out and he's never been vocal. Why do you say this? And I said, listen, I've been following his music since I was a little girl. I understand that what is happening right now on the left is the exact opposite of Kanye West, right? This is like the kryptonite. He will have to defeat this in order for him to survive. And I understood that the left had created the system of idolatry with Jay-Z and Beyonce. They're everywhere. You know, you had Obama inviting him all the time, and then Hillary Clinton runs her campaign, and Beyonce shows up with an "I'm with her" shirt, and Jay-Z jumps on stage and says, "I would like to introduce to you the next president of the United States." Brainwash, madness. This is a man that grew up in the hood and the projects and made his money off of Black people idolizing him, endorsing a president, Hillary Clinton, whose husband, while she was in the White House, locked up more Black men than any president in the history of the United States with his crime bill in 1994. Okay, that moment was disgusting to me to see to see Jay-Z there, and I said the answer to this is going to be Kanye West, and why he was going to be so important was because, believe it or not, married to Kim Kardashian. What is the antidote to Beyonce? Who's got a bigger, crazier fan base?
Good.
They can take down Instagram and say, guys, look at this chapstick. And it sells out in 3 seconds. Everything, and they love her, and she's great, and she's amazing. What people don't understand about Kim Kardashian is that she's a businesswoman. This woman has never drank alcohol her entire life. She gets up early and she works all day, and so the brand that she has, you may not agree with it. You may not agree with how she sells it. You may, as conservatives, they tend to go, oh, well, she takes off her clothes, this and that. you have to respect her as a businesswoman, because at the end of the day, Kanye West represents the American dream, right? Kim Kardashian, these ideas of conservatism where you can say, hey, if you work hard, if you don't drink and do drugs and throw your life away, your life can just get bigger and bigger and bigger. Her family represents now an empire, an entire empire. Actually, the richest Kardashian, believe it or not, is Kylie Jenner with her lip kit. She's almost a billionaire, which is insane. And that, I am telling you, is the antidote to culture, and it's important to understand. Of course, we can sit in this room, we can talk about politics, but you have to understand that politics will always be downstream from culture, right? So I wake up a couple of days ago on, was it Friday that these magical 7 words went out?
Yeah.
And I get a screenshot from a number I don't even know who it was because it was so crazy and blurry. It was a +44 number, so someone from London sends me a screenshot. I think it was Nigel Farage's assistant.
Ooh.
Okay? And I had just talked to Nigel Farage last week about, you know, my strategy and what I wanted to do, similar to what he did with Brexit for Black America. And his assistant sends me a screenshot with a winky face, and the screenshot says, by Kanye West, I love the way Candace Owens thinks. And
Me too.
I immediately thank you. I immediately start shaking.
Me
right?
three.
Like, what's going on? Everyone's heard me talk about Kanye. It's all like the only thing I talk about this artist. Like, this can't be real life. I go to Twitter and my hands are shaking so bad I can't get to his page. And then I see the tweet, and naturally I break down crying like someone had assassinated my entire family. I never cried. I'm telling you, this tweet like brought me like to my knees. I was like, no. I called Charlie. Thought like I got into a car accident. I couldn't even speak to him. Charlie, get out. He's like in a meeting. No, step outside. And I said, and he's like, you know. And then obviously the world exploded. And people didn't understand why this tweet was so significant. 7 words, 9 syllables. I love the way Candace Owens thinks. It's because I'm telling you, this is the glitch in the matrix, okay?
Yeah.
I knew how big this was going to get. I understood that Kanye West has about 5 albums coming out with the biggest people. You know, aside from being a rapper, he's also a producer. And with the biggest people in the game, the antidote to Jay-Z is a rapper named Nas, right?
Yeah.
Right? Chance the Rapper, and all of these people that are not going to turn their back on a guy that they just worked with for the last years. So essentially, we just launched an ideological civil war in the Black community with a 7-word tweet, right? And this is amazing, you guys. You have no idea what this means for America. And I stress to everybody who's like, oh, I listen to Kanye West music. You don't have to listen to his music. You don't have to buy Kim Kardashian's chapstick, okay? But you do have to recognize the opportunity that has just arrived in front of us as people that are fighting for free speech, all right? That are fighting for different ideas every single day. That are fighting to say, like, hey, we don't all have to look the same. But we do all have to think differently, because if we don't think differently, that's dangerous. It's poisonous.
Amen.
You're right. It's absolute poison. What I'm seeing on college campuses. Earlier today, we were on campus at Denver University, and their solution to us just having a conversation was playing loud music that said, F Donald Trump.
Childish.
Childish.
That's
childish. That's poison.
What was beautiful about it was that the people that were sitting in the chair were people that were undecided voters. And one guy sat down in the chair and he said, Candace, you know, I struggle with this about illegal immigration, and I try to separate my feelings from facts. My father was deported to Mexico, and as he's trying to talk, he's got a crowd of white kids and a crowd of black kids that are both competing to play the loudest songs because they're upset with the fact that Turning Point has somebody on campus. This is why the left is losing. Listen to people that are confused. They refuse. They are completely exiling not just conservatives, not just by lying and calling Candace an alt-right leader of the KKK and lying and saying Kanye has a mental disorder and he's an alt-right member of the KKK, but these people who are undecided and saying, you know, listen, there are some things I agree with, some things I don't, but I'm willing to have the discussion. What do you think that kid walked away with when people were blaring music as he's talking about something that really impacted him emotionally? And I listened to him and I said, I'm happy that you're able to separate the emotionality from what happened with your father, and I'm really sorry that happened. But can I tell you why getting strong on borders really matters to conservatives? And he said, yeah. And I said, because 50% of the immigrants that are coming to this country are coming from Mexico. That's not diversity, that's making America Mexico, okay? If you want diversity and you want to talk about saying, hey, let's bring some people from Africa. By the way, they only bring about 3% of the immigrants coming to this country come from Africa, okay? You want to talk about it, to me as a Black American, how having illegal immigrants directly impacts the Black labor force. I can talk to you about that.
Amen, yeah.
Right there,
Sell
right
them.
there.
Sell them, yeah.
We had this moment and it was amazing, and I said to him after, And I want you to do something else. I want you to come to the Student Action Summit at Turning Point USA Thursday end of
If
the year.
I cry, don't
I
laugh
want you
at
to,
me.
you're willing to have this conversation. Come into the room with everyone that the left told you was a demon, all right? They told you this was going to be a hell party. Satan himself was back at a conservative summit, right? Come and listen to the rest of the ideas. He said yes. And we're going to fly him down in December when we have this summit, and we have another person that is going to convert to conservatism because we treated him like a human being.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Humanity. So I do want to open up the floor so we can have some backcourt discussion, have some questions, but I just wanted to share with you guys my story, my vision for America, and let you guys know that I don't think I've slept in about 2 weeks, and I couldn't be more energized and more excited for this country because I am telling you what they're advocating for right now. Before I walked on, saw that Chance the Rapper jumped in it and said,
What?
Black people
What?
do not have to vote for Democrats. And he defended Kanye.
What?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But we're getting back Hollywood and culture, and when you
Yeah.
and what somebody said to me, which is a brilliant theory, and I can't think of the name, rainbow effect. I could be completely wrong, but he said, "Candace, do you understand what just happened? You were the mic drop in a room. When the room gets silent, and you say something you shouldn't. You were the mic drop. Kanye West stood up, and he was that first.
Yep.
Which then makes the
Yeah.
like this. And I'm telling you, by the end, when we get to 2020, it's going to be a standing ovation.
Yeah. So how do you plan on making that happen?
Listen, there's some stuff happening under wraps that I cannot mention, but I can
All
tell
right.
you, if you thought this tweet was the beginning of it, you're absolutely wrong. If the media has learned nothing, it's that you do not tell Kanye West what to think. You can't tell him
Yeah.
who to love. Right?
Right.
They told him he could never be a designer. He's got made a fashion empire. His sneaker, I can't even afford the Yeezy sneaker. It's unbelievable. It's the most sought after sneaker in the world. Is the Yeezy, the A-Boost Adidas, right? They told him that he could not even like Kim Kardashian because she was a slut, a tolerant left, right? So he married her, right? And had some kids with her. And now they are telling him that he's not allowed to support Donald Trump, so he's supposed to wear some MAGA hats today.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I shared it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that's coming, and I'm telling you, this is the tip of the iceberg, and I wish I could share more with you, but there are a lot of people that you wouldn't suspect coming together right now and saying, this is the moment in the history, and I want to play a part in it. So,
Awesome.
hey!
Actually,
What's up?
before we open up to Q&A, we're going to take a quick group photo
Oh,
real
yeah,
quick,
sure.
and then we'll do the Q&A.
Never done that before, right?